Continuing here on the Exam Room podcast, brought to you by the Physicians Committee with the weight loss champion, Chuck Carroll. My next guest is the only person in the history of the Exam Room who we can say honestly has worked on the space shuttle program. And that means that she is indeed a rocket scientist turned lifestyle medicine physician. If that isn't a career change, I don't know what is. It is simply too cool for school. With that, we welcome Dr. Niki Davis back to the Exam Room. Thank you so very much for joining us again.
Thank you, Chuck, for having me. I really appreciate it.
Well, let's now talk about what lifestyle medicine is. As you said, it's still relatively new. And so there's a lot of people, well, lifestyle medicine, how does that differ from when I go to see my typical primary care physician? What really differentiates the two type of practices there?
Yeah, good question. So, you've got, if you just want to kind of make it very basic, you could look at lifestyle medicine versus conventional medicine. Now, I was trained in conventional medicine, and there's definitely benefits to conventional medicine. If you get an infection or you're in a car accident, you have a broken bone, that is important. But it's missing this lifestyle medicine aspect, which is that if you have a lifestyle that is not conducive to health, your doctor is going to say to you, well, you need to eat a healthier diet, or you need to exercise more. Come back and see me in 6 months. That's what I was taught. It's important. Lifestyle medicine is important, but we're not really taught how to educate our patients and help them through the process of making lifestyle changes. So if you want to look at it as in conventional medicine is more based on treating a disease with medications, surgeries, and then maybe talking about the lifestyle medicine stuff just as an afterthought. Like, well, you should really try this. It would be better if you exercise more. Whereas lifestyle medicine is much more focused on, okay, this is a lifestyle related disease like hypertension or diabetes or obesity. And so in order to treat that, you really need to look at what you're missing, which is the lifestyle, and making those changes. And with lifestyle medicine, it's all evidence-based. So it's not just hooey. It's, we're actually looking at the data on what is best for health as far as making lifestyle changes. And it's therapeutic approaches. So instead of looking at medicines necessarily, and of course you can still use medicines if needed, but instead of just focusing on medicines as the first line, we're looking at what are the lifestyle changes that someone can make, and how, as a provider, can we help these patients make these lifestyle changes? So it's therapeutic approaches to help not only treat, but prevent and reverse lifestyle-related chronic diseases. And that's really the difference.
Let's simplify that even further. I mean, it really is just getting out in front of these chronic conditions that have been plaguing America. And so many of these experts, not just America, worldwide, so many of the experts, your fellow doctors come on the show and they talk about these chronic illnesses and how preventable so many of these cases actually are. And so lifestyle medicine is a way really then to cut down on those numbers the best that we possibly know how, and that is by taking control of our diet and implementing those lifestyle changes. So what you're going to be speaking about at this upcoming event, Spring into Your Best Future, I do believe I may have, Spring into Your Best Life. Best life.
Yes.
The best life, man. I love the best life. So that is coming up on Saturday. That's with Salt Lake Thrive, a phenomenal organization. You're going to be talking about the 6 pillars of lifestyle medicine. So what I want to do here is, for the time that we have left, actually run down those 6 pillars, talk a little bit about them, and of course, save plenty for the actual presentation at the event. But the first one is the all-important one that gets talked about so much here on the Exam Room, and that is eating a whole food, plant-based diet. Is there a reason that this is number one? I would have to think that this is not necessarily coincidental.
I would agree with that. And of course, I am biased because that's what I love talking about the most is nutrition. I think if you think about every single day, at least 3 times a day, we're putting things into our mouths that goes through our body. I mean, it's affecting you all day, every day. So nutrition is just so important when you're talking about lifestyle medicine. You can't focus on the other 5 pillars of lifestyle medicine, which we'll talk about in a moment, without focusing on the first one, which is a whole food plant-based diet. It just, you'll improve your health for sure, but if you really want to get the most bang for your buck, a whole food plant-based diet it just improves so many things. I mean, even just eating that way helps improve things like your mood. And eating healthier causes you to want to do other things that are healthier. I don't know if you've ever noticed, but if you eat healthier, it makes you want to go out and get some exercise and walk more. It's the snowball effect.
You know what the crazy thing is yeah, it absolutely does. But even if I've been lazy for a week or two, and I'm not perfect, so that still does happen. What amazes me by eating so cleanly is how well I do, even if I feel like I'm technically out of shape. It takes me a lot less time to rebound compared to when I was eating that standard American high fat diet. Now, granted, at that point I was 420 pounds, but still, it never ceases to amaze me how quickly, it just doesn't take a whole lot to get going there.
Yeah, I agree. Same thing with me. And Chuck, nobody's perfect. Nobody. I'm not perfect either. So, and I agree. I feel the same way. When I'm not at my best, when I haven't exercised for a few days or even longer, I mean, it's been hard with the pandemic. uh, you know, it's once you get back on it again, you're like, oh, actually, this isn't so bad getting back to this again. And you feel good and you feel like you can keep going.
Absolutely. And physical activity is actually the second pillar here. So, how important is that in terms of warding off chronic diseases here?
Yeah, there's been really some great studies that show that the more physical activity that you have, the less likely you are to have comorbidities and mortality. And it's kind of exponential in which you get a lot of benefit at a certain amount. And then if you get even more, you're going to get more benefit, but it's not as much. And so what we found is that really to get the most out of it, if you do 150 minutes a week of moderate physical activity, you're getting really most of that benefit. And so you can increase it from there and you will get increased benefit, but it's not as much. So, that 80-20 rule, you're getting the most of it, that 80% really, if you do the 150 minutes per week. And that's 30 minutes, 5 days a week of moderate
Define,
activity.
yeah, define what moderate activity actually is.
Yeah, so moderate activity is where when you're doing this activity, you can talk, but you can't sing. So if you're
Ah,
looking at like mild activity, light activity, you can talk and sing. Moderate would be that you can talk but you can't sing, and then vigorous activity you can't talk at all.
mm, mm.
You're really huffing. So that's moderate activity. You're just, as long as you can't sing while you're doing it, then you've reached that.
Gotcha. All right. And that's why we don't see American Idol auditions on a treadmill. Okay. So now it all makes perfect sense. Okay. Number three, this is a big one, especially throughout the pandemic. And we've seen so many jobs being lost. We've seen so many people struggling financially. And, stress is just a part of life as it is under ordinary circumstances, certainly been compounded here over the last 12 months. Number three is stress management. So when you are working with your patients, how do you talk to them about coping with stress?
Right. So stress management is one of those things that you think, well, I'm just going to have stress and I can't do anything different because this is my job, it's stressful and there's nothing I can do about it. But that's not true. So you can see your doctor, you can see a lifestyle medicine doctor, and you can come up with a plan to help deal with the stress in your life. And that, just dealing with it and making a plan for how to react when things get extremely stressful, that is going to help you not have the effects of stress as much as if you didn't have a plan in place at all. And like you said, like with the pandemic, people losing their jobs, that can affect your health. So it's not just mentally that I feel stressed, it actually affects your body. When you have stress in your body, that lowers your immune response. And so if you're concerned about having your body be at peak immune capability, especially when you're talking about having the COVID virus out there, having the least amount of stress possible is actually going to help your immune function. And we've noticed that in studies there are, unfortunately, when people have something stressful in their work environment or at home, it can affect your heart health. It can affect even just, having other health conditions. I mean, it affects your entire body having that increased stress all the time.
And along with that stress here in the same pillar is also emotional wellness. Part of that goes to stress, obviously, but what about if somebody they suffer from depression or they've been diagnosed with bipolar disorder or some other form of mental illness? How then can lifestyle medicine help them alleviate some of what's going on with them, at least maybe lessen the severity of their illness? Is that possible?
It is. It's really important that as we're looking at stress, as you're talking with your physician or, even just looking at yourself, being aware that some people have underlying mental health conditions such as depression or anxiety, and that can make stress feel even worse. So definitely you want to be aware of those conditions that you have underlying, because those conditions are treatable. Absolutely. We've got cognitive behavioral therapy that is really important in helping people deal with depression and anxiety. But overall, lifestyle medicine, we look at other things too. So looking at like you were saying, the emotional wellness, there are things that you can do. I mean, I got a nice list of things like connecting with others. Of course, that's something that's difficult to do now with the pandemic, but it's still so important. And so finding ways around that to connect with others, involvement in activities. So anything that you can do to be involved in some sort of activity, if it's not, sitting with thousands of other people watching, a game or something, it's, at least finding a way to connect with others and do activities in another way. So you've got to find a way to continue to do that. The other things that are important are like relaxation. So things that help you relax, whether that's listening to music or doing yoga or meditating or even dancing, all those things can help with emotional wellness. Creative hobbies. So during the pandemic, I know a lot of people are coming up with fun things to do at home. And in fact, Chuck, do you want to see the thing that I've been doing that's my creative hobby?
I would absolutely love to. Wow us.
I
This
was
is a
kind of hoping
time.
this would come up.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. America's Got Talent, and Dr. Davis is about to prove it. What have you been up to?
So this is embroidery. So it's kind of a long lost art. I think this is something that we know our grandparents used to do. And it's just kind of one of those fun things that you can be creative with. And it's just a needle and thread with some fabric and making designs and shapes. So that's what I've been doing lately to
I'm
help with my
impressed.
emotional wellness.
I'm definitely impressed. I like the cactus there. Are you going to turn into one of those people that walks around with a big ball of yarn with you wherever you go, and then you start to, stitch and knit scarves and things like that? Is that kind of how this is going to progress? Are we going to see you on Etsy anytime soon?
I wouldn't put it past me. Definitely, that's a possibility. Yes.
Oh man, you are the best. All right,
My
but
dad was an artist, so
oh, was
I've
he?
got that
Okay.
creative background. Yeah.
Well, now that explains it all. Okay, well, we're going to get you on a future episode. We're going to keep tabs on how this is progressing. Maybe, we can commission you to do some custom art here for the show.
Oh, I love that. I love it.
Yes. All right. But between the hobby and your family and your practice, there's not a whole heck of a lot of time for sleep. But nonetheless, this is crucially important when you're talking about lifestyle medicine. In fact, it is the fourth pillar.
Yes. So sleep, absolutely. I think most people understand that sleep is important because you know that when you don't get it, you don't feel good. And I know this as a resident physician working nights for a long time. It is tough when you don't have sleep. So that's one benefit of being done with residency is I actually get some sleep now. And also my kid is older. That helps too. But a lot of people don't get good sleep. It's kind of one of those things that's rampant around the United States and the world that we just don't get enough sleep and it's not good sleep. And I think it's, a lot of us are busy, but then, there are things that we can do to help us get better sleep and help us sleep better and get to sleep better. And some things that I'm sure a lot of people know, making sure that your room is cool and dark. But some things that I wasn't aware of until I started studying lifestyle medicine, that your body wants your extremities to be warm before it can start initiating sleep. And so it's really important that your feet and hands are warm, because if that does not happen, your body is like, nope, we're not ready for sleep. And so just something simple like putting socks on or having a heating pad to help heat up your feet, that can help you initiate sleep. And so that's just kind of one of the fun things to be aware of. And then just being aware of making sure that you're not having your sleep schedule be so different day to day. So really kind of making sure that when you're waking up and you're going to bed is about the same time every day, because really your body is fully aware of when it's got light and when it has dark, and it prepares you for sleep based on that. And so if you're staying up really late at night and you're forcing yourself to stay awake when it's dark outside, that can affect your circadian rhythm and how your body does with sleep. So really kind of sticking to the same time that you wake up and same time that you go to sleep. And that can be hard because you want to stay up late on the weekends and kind of relax. But as best you can to stay on that kind of same time schedule is good.
Admittedly, I am somewhat of a night owl. I find it very hard to go to sleep before midnight, but now with the pandemic and being able to work from home, I'm also able to sleep a little bit later. My commute is literally to my office across the hall from my bedroom.
Yeah.
I'm curious, for those who are routinely staying up a little bit later, but they are on that same schedule, or even those who work overnight shifts, how does that affect their circadian rhythm? And is it even possible for night owls or those who do work those overnight shifts to get that same quality sleep?
Yeah, I think it is. I think that really focusing on making sure that the type of sleep you're getting is good sleep. So if you're going to bed, say you, Chuck, are going to bed at midnight, just making sure that the room is such that you're going to get good sleep. So the room is dark, making sure that it is cool. You don't want your room to be too hot. If you think back before we used to have houses, you would be a little bit cooler sleeping at night because you were going to be sleeping, either in a shelter where you still had some of that cold air coming through, or you're sleeping outside. It's natural for your body to expect to be cool at night. And so just making sure that your environment is such that you have that kind of benefit. And I would say people who are working overnight, really making sure that when you are sleeping, if you're sleeping during the day, that your body gets that benefit of not having light. And so maybe wearing a mask, making sure you have those blackout curtains so that your body has that dark room and it feels like it's nighttime.
You just hit on two of the keys: blackout curtains and sleep masks. I just got this amazing sleep mask off of Amazon. It is like the most glorious invention in the history of inventions. Like, I have two really bright lights shining on me right now. If I put on this mask, it would be like pitch black dark in here. It is phenomenal. And it has helped me sleep better through the night, especially because my wife, she gets up earlier than I do, and that used to wake me up. But with this mask, I'm telling you, boom, I'm gone. Nice, deep, dark sleep. All right, we could talk more about that, but instead, let's move on to pillar number 5, and that is avoiding risky substances. Now, that to me seems like a kind of vague description. Like, a risky substance to me could be a grilled stuffed burrito from Taco Bell. A risky substance for somebody else could be a narcotic. So, what define in these terms what a risky substance is?
Right. It could be left out Chinese food, right?
Yep, exactly. Exactly.
So lifestyle medicine is one in which we're looking at how can we improve people's health with making lifestyle changes. And so when we're talking about risky substances, we look at things that really affect people's health. And for instance, a risky substance might be tobacco, it might be alcohol. And so as a lifestyle medicine doctor, we're looking at how can we help these people overcome these addictions or these substances that are not doing them any good, that are causing their health to be less than their best. So we work with people to help them get through trying to quit smoking or trying to quit drinking heavily or drinking excessively, because we know that especially tobacco, I mean, that is, it causes lung cancer, it causes COPD. It is so horribly unhealthy. And I know that everybody knows this now. And it wasn't something that we always knew. I mean, doctors used to promote smoking, but now we know this, that smoking is incredibly unhealthy. And the nice thing now that I have the lifestyle medicine background is I don't just have someone come in to me and say, I want to quit smoking, what should I do? And I say, okay, call the quit line. You could start this medication that'll help the cravings. We can still do those things as lifestyle medicine doctors, but even more importantly is coming up with the plan and helping people get to the point where they can quit and be successful. And coming up with that plan, I mean, it's kind of like when you're changing your diet from the standard American diet to a whole food plant-based diet. You have to come up with a plan. What are you going to do when you are over at someone's house and they put this unhealthy food in front of you? What is the plan for that? And it's the same thing with smoking. It's the same thing with alcohol. You've got to have a plan so that you know what are you going to do in those circumstances and how are you going to get through and be successful.
Yeah, that's so key with any of the risky substances is having that plan, because if it's a food, those cravings are going to hit. And you will be around people who don't quite understand what it is that you're going through, and may offer you a drink when you really shouldn't be having that drink. Or it could be a situation where you feel like, hey, you've quit smoking 10 years ago, you can have just one and I'll be okay. Well, what is your plan to convince yourself otherwise? So like that to me is key for long-term success. So I'm really glad that has made the list. And now let's take it home with something that is definitely timely. Here during the pandemic, we talked a little bit about this earlier, but a positive psychological attitude and social connectedness. Obviously, a great deal of distance between ourselves and our loved ones right now throughout this pandemic, but the psychological, the positive mental attitude there, I think that is something that we can really work on regardless of circumstance, regardless of time of year, regardless of what's going on outside of your own home. How important is having that PMA, as I like to call it, to your overall health here with lifestyle medicine?
Yeah, so positive psychology is so important, and it's looking at having a positive affect. And really what that means is you have a positive outlook on the past. You are happy about the present and you're happy about the present and the president. And you're hopeful for the future. So that's really what a positive affect is. And so positive psychology plays on having this positive affect, but also it looks at, how do you go about having a positive outlook? And some of those things are like looking at what are you grateful for? So not just about what bad things have happened to me, it's about what are the things that are great that I am grateful for. That's something that a lot of us, I think, struggle with nowadays with having the pandemic, is it's really hard to have hope and to feel grateful for things, because for a lot of us, so many things have gone wrong and so many things have affected us with this, that being able to say, take a journal and write maybe every night 3 things that you're grateful for. That can really help with just having that positive outlook, that positive affect in life. So positive psychology is extremely important. And going on that too is the social connectedness. That is part of the 6th pillar, and it's so important. And of course, again, it's so hard to get that social connectedness right now with what we're facing. But it's interesting because there have been studies that have been done about social connectedness, and there was actually one that was a 75-year cohort, and a cohort just means that it's a longitudinal study that is looking at a certain group of people over a long period of time. And what they found was that the single most important predictor for happiness and longevity was social connectedness. So it's not something that we can just say, oh, you know, if I had more better relationships, if I saw people more, that would be beneficial. It really does make a huge impact on our health. So both positive psychology and social connectedness are extremely important, and that's why they're part of the lifestyle medicine pillars.
Can social connectedness be the friends that we make online now? You know, people who we've met on Facebook or other social media, we interact with them. It seems like, regardless of pandemic or otherwise, we interact more with people on Twitter and Instagram than we do in our everyday lives. Does that count towards social connectedness, or is that like completely too new to even be able to answer that question?
Oh, that is such a good question, because normally you would think that, yes, having that connection would be beneficial, but there have already been studies about this where they found that people who use social media more are more depressed. Now, does that mean that
Hmm.
social media, being on social media, causes you to become more depressed, or does it mean that if you are more depressed, you're more likely to use social media? I don't know. But it certainly does not say that social media is helping our mental health by any means. And so I would not rely on that for social connectedness. I think it really, I mean, I don't know about you, Chuck, but when I haven't been able to hug someone in a long time, and then you have that hug with someone, there's nothing, you know, you can't get a like on Facebook, and that's not the same thing, right? Really hugging someone in person and being there to laugh with someone and connect with someone in person, there's no replacement for that.
No, no doubt, no doubt. By the way, you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at PCRM, at Physicians Committee. I'm at Chuck Carroll WLC. I promise we'll put material up that we will do our best not to depress you. My best guess. Do you want to throw your handles in as long as we're plugging everything here?
Oh, sure. Why not? So, and actually, it's right here. It says at Niki Davis MD. So you can find me on Instagram and Facebook. And you can also
There
go to
it
my
is.
website, drnikidavis.com. And Chuck, I'll be available pretty soon for telehealth appointments. I'll be working with plant-based telehealth. So you can go on there and make an appointment with me.
Outstanding. That is phenomenal. So keep us abreast of that, and we will definitely let our viewers and listeners know exactly when you're up and running with that. But more to the immediate future, coming up on Saturday, we do have this big event coming up, Spring into Your Best Life. You're going to be talking more in depth about what it is that we discussed here today. And this is an absolutely free event, and we'll put a link to register in the episode notes or the show description. So go ahead, click on that. This is Saturday, March 20th. And register there. And there are so many people who are going to be speaking there. It's not just you who will be talking. Who else is coming up at this event?
Yeah, so I'll be speaking about lifestyle medicine, and then we've got an orthopedic surgeon who I know here in, he's actually in Park City, Utah, but he'll be speaking about the benefits of just eating plant-based. So that'll be fantastic to hear from him. And then we are going to have a midwife who's going to be going through some meditation and stress reduction techniques, which perfectly aligns with the lifestyle medicine stuff that we were talking about. And then we'll have I'm trying to think of the name of, it's not a physical therapist.
A physical fitness instructor, maybe?
Yeah, like a physical fitness instructor, an expert in physical fitness. And he's going to be going through kind of some healthy ways to increase our physical activity. So
That's cool. And I understand that he's been vegan himself for more than 25 years. So the man
Yes.
definitely knows what he's talking about. And what really caught my eye, by the by, like if I was going to sign up, this is what was going to draw me in, is the fact that there will be a cooking demonstration for healthy
Yes.
snacks. Snacks are critical, especially when you're first transitioning to that vegan diet and you don't know what in the world to eat. So here's, the answer to that question. Well, what do you eat in a day? Have some snacks. You're going to show the people not just what to eat, but how to make it. That's very cool.
Yes. Yes. So that'll be fun. I always love watching cooking demos, so that's going to be a lot of fun to see.
Snacks, of course, of
Yay,
course.
snacks.
Dr. Niki Davis, thank you so very much for your time. This has been really enlightening.
Well, thank you so much for having me on again. I always enjoy talking with you.
You're the best. All right, we'll talk again soon. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks, Chuck.
If you feel like you've raised your health IQ by a couple of points, go ahead and subscribe to this channel and leave a nice comment below. And to hear the entire interview, head over to Apple Podcast or wherever you get your shows from and subscribe to The Exam Room by the Physicians Committee. And please leave a 5-star rating.